Good morning.
Good morning.
How y'all doing? I know somebody probably at work, so they can't talk. Um,
I'm doing good.
that's good. I don't know where the people at, but we're gonna get started. They can watch the replay or if they come in a little bit later, that's totally fine too. You can hear me clearly, or I need to talk a little bit louder.
I could hear you clearly.
All right, so today is actually kind of short and sweet, but not so much. Um,
Mhm.
did you get the opportunity to download the workbook?
No, I saw the expense report thing.
Mhm.
I didn't see like how I can download the workbook
Okay, let
because
me.
I kept clicking, I kept clicking on something. I'm sorry. Ooh. Yeah, it just shows like the presentation, but I see like it says the daily sales calculator,
Mhm.
and then I saw the expense report for us.
Okay,
I
so
saw that
if you
too,
go,
but I didn't. I'm
you can
sorry.
see the screen, right?
Okay, yeah, I see
In
that.
Classroom, if you go to upcoming class schedule, it has all of the sessions already kind of broken down, so y'all aren't so
Oh,
confused with like, what do I need? So if you click session two and you click the revenue roadmap, that PDF,
oh, damn. I would have printed this out at work yesterday. Well, I could just write it in my notebook.
so it'll have the expense report and the PDF. But even if you don't have it right now, the slide that you're about to see is pretty much almost, well, it is the same, but it's actually in like PowerPoint form. So you can just
Okay,
you can write the prompts on a notebook.
okay. I got my notebook here for today the 13th.
Okay, so welcome to the revenue roadmap. This is going to be basically a journey that's going to help you chart for product profitable success. Um, you have to, for the most part, know where where are we? You have to know where you're going in order to kind of understand what you actually need to make. So a lot of the work that we've been doing the past weeks was more so about what we personally are doing with our minds and with our money and things like that, because you have to be clear on that in order to know how much you need to make in order to make profit to actually survive. So,
Okay,
in this course, you're going to have the profit planner. That's what we're going to be looking at today. That's what we'll spend a lot of time with for the most part and focus on today. And it was crafted to empower you to maximize your profits and sales. It's designed with precision. This plan is also meticulously divided into key sections, and it's strategically guiding you through the process of crafting a vivid understanding of your ideal customer, identifying the precise problems your products will solve, and implementing target market strategies to reach a broader audience. This is a quintessential tool for every online business striving to elevate product sales to new heights. To extract the utmost benefit from the profit planner, commit to engaging intentionally with the questions. So it's going to be very important that, like, even if you don't answer all the questions right now, because sometimes it takes a little bit of time to like kind of figure out what you really truly want to answer, but you want to make sure that you fill out every question in detail. And this doesn't have to necessarily just be for product sales. It can be for your services. It can be for um, just anything in general. It could even be short term. There was one point where I was using this stuff, using this stuff short term to figure out like, all right, how much money do I need to make in order to just pay my bills? So that's actually where the candles came from a long time ago. I was like, okay, if I sell 6 candles, that's going to allow me to make $160. If I sell 12 candles, and that's how I kind of figured out, oh, all I need to do is sell 15 candles a week for 2 weeks to pay my rent. So it'll really help you break things down.
Okay.
So some important definitions that you're going to need to know throughout this process. Um, I want to use the workbook because the workbook it's to me better. Hold on.
Mr. Rashad, I actually did that in one of my journals. I
Mhm.
wrote like the things that I could do to bring in income,
Yeah,
and then I kind of like broke it down like, okay, how much you need to bring from this a
mm,
week, like you said, and then it's just like you got different multiple things. So it's like if this don't pop, then hopefully this will pop.
yeah.
Cause
And
I was
there's
just
a
thinking, I was like, where I'm at, I'm not trying to be here no more. So I was just thinking,
mm,
like, what can I do?
the next session that we do next Saturday is about daily sales, and then there's a similar to the diagram that y'all are going to be working on today with the um total expense total expense calculator. The next week is business, it's business sales. So it calculates, it literally does all that for you. Like you can punch in a number and it'll automatically calculate how much you need to make your month's rent. Like it takes the stuff from this one and you put it into that one, and then you put the price product. So it's like gonna be very self-explanatory to make it like really easy for you to visually see, like, oh, my rent is $3,000. Oh, I need to, the price of the product is $32. Oh, I need to sell X amount to get to this. Like it literally shows it to you. So when y'all have access to those things, you just have to click on whichever session we're in, and you'll be able to kind of see it before we even go over it next week.
Okay.
So yeah, see, this looks way better to me. So important definitions that you will need to know. The first thing is sale. A sale is an exchange of commodity for money, the action of selling something. So I want you to pay attention to that word commodity. Um, when you're making sales, your whatever you're selling has to be a commodity, a hot commodity. Like, so I want you to think about your products or whatever you are intending on selling or whatever services you intend on offering. And I want you to think about each individual service or product and think about how can I make this a commodity? Because a lot of people say product sales and you got to sell a product, but a product is just simply a product. You think about this iPhone. Everybody wants to have an iPhone for the most part. Majority of the world wants to have an iPhone. But you think about an Android that was out before iPhone. Everybody don't want an Android. So Android maintains their sales because there are people out there that want them, but iPhones are such a commodity, people have to have them. So you think about that in the sense of every year a new iPhone comes out. People have to have that new iPhone. So they created some sort of commodity around their product that makes you desire the next new thing from them. You think about Android in that same light. I know people that have had their Android for 6, 7 years, and new versions of it have come out, and they do not want to change it because there's no commodity around it. They're like, my phone is still great. I'm gonna keep this phone I got right here. So you think about things like that. You want to make sure that your product is a commodity. And then the number two definition we have for sale is the period during which a retailer sells goods at reduced prices. So a sale is a commodity that you sell, but you do need to have a sale where there is a period where you reduce the prices of your products. We talk a lot about that also in, I think, session 3. There's another graph that shows you profit margins. And based on those profit margins, it tells you what's reasonable for you to have a sale on a product based on the price and the cost of the shipping peanuts, the box, the tape. It calculates all of that up, and then it tells you, okay, this is the lowest that you can go on a sale to still make at least 2 times its profit.
Mm.
The next thing is marketing. The action of business of promoting and selling products or services, including market research and advertising. So when promoting your products, that's a big part of it. And we go into that a little bit later in the program, not in this specific module, but we go into it later in the program. We talk about marketing. Like there's a whole module just dedicated to marketing. Promotions. These are publicizations of product, organization, or venture to increase sale or public awareness. So when you're having a promotion, it is not a sale. If you ever think about companies, they say sales and promotions. A promo is not intended for you to reduce your price. A promo is not intended for you to lose money. A promotion is something that is supposed to heighten the client's visibility to your product and you gain profit. Think about Walmart. No, think about Target. They will do, actually, Kroger is really good at this. You ever go on Kroger and it says, buy 5 of these items with this blue sticker and you get 1 free? So they're not actually losing money on getting that 1 free. And the reason why is because companies provide them with, like, let's say it's chicken strips, French fries, a very specific brand of chicken strips, French fries, a very specific brand of like maybe 2 different juices, and then a very specific brand of bread. And those items throughout the store have that sticker and you pick them up. I don't know if you ever noticed, it's normally a brand that we have never naturally just picked up. It's not something that we commonly pick up. It's normally some one-off things, or it may be 4 things that are commonly picked up, and then there'll be 1 thing on each aisle that is like, okay, the numbers aren't doing great on this. So it brings visibility to the products. So what ends up happening is those companies end up sending pro bono product, which means like, okay, we're doing a sale, Kroger contacts them, we're doing a sale, and we want to bring more visibility to your product. Are you willing to, with our purchase this time around, give each one of our locations 500 SKUs? So what they do is they give them that free product. And what ends up happening is we're like, oh, that's how I discover a lot of different things like pizza and stuff like that. So you want to think of your promos in that way. They're ventures. You want to think of how can I venture into some sort of promotion to increase the visibility of my products. If we bring it into the scope of kind of what we do, let's say it's my products. I did this a lot back then. I would find a company that it would cost me like maybe $1 per bag. And I used to do these when I had SKN. There were these canvas bags and it had gold SKN on it. And the people on Etsy, they were willing to make the bags for me for like $1. So as long as I was spending 200 or more, so I pretty much bought 200 bags, and it was basically, it didn't, $200 versus the profit that I was making off the product sales. When you did the math, it was like I think it was like a 50 cents deficit because I was getting the money back in shipping. So with every purchase of $100 or more, you got a free bag. So that is a promotion that doesn't hurt my pockets. I actually gained more money at the end of utilizing that promotion and making the money off of those bags. Profit margins. Profit margins are the amount by which revenue from sales exceed costs in a business. So you have to stay in a profit margin when you're selling products. If you're over your profit margin, you're actually paying the client to buy your product, or you're paying the client to do your service. So like, let's use makeup for an example. If I decide that I'm going to be a $70 a face makeup artist, if I subtract $20 for gas, I subtract the $5 it costs per lash, I subtract maybe $10 per face that it costs for the products that I'm using, I'm already in the negative or very close to it. So then let's add gas and mileage. That eats up the last, what, I think that's like $15 or $20 that's left. So I just paid that client $70 to do her makeup because I didn't profit anything on it. So a margin, a profit margin, is a margin in which you stay in the parameters of, so that you're still making profit. You should always be making off of your services and products at least 2 times profit.
But how do you factor in like the products that I'm using, and like the actual service? That's the part I don't get when I'm like setting my prices for my services.
So the new Max foundation is $47, right?
Yes.
It's safe to say that you can get about 100 faces out of one bottle of foundation. So when I divide that by 100, that's 47 cents. I'm gonna round that up to $1. So that's just the foundation. Think about the powders that, although they last long, they're $50. So that's another $1. Lashes are $5. So that's $7. So you do that literally with every single product that you use on your thing. Or what I typically do is I will literally look at my kit, and it's easy for me to remember how much I paid for the product, and I'll just add a total amount of my kit up. My kit has to be renewed or changed out for the most part every year. So let's just say I have a $4,000 kit. If I divide that by 365 days, that's $10.95. So $10.95 is the expense every time that I open my kit for a client. So I'm going to subtract that from what I charge. Same thing with gas and mileage. If I typically, what's the average drive that you do here in Georgia is about 20 miles. So if I take I have a gas calculator. I'm terrible with the gas and mileage math, but if it's 20 miles and it costs $25 to fill my tank, I'm going to say, I think that the calculator calculates $1 per mile, or it's like 85 cents a mile. So if we take 0.85 times 20, that's $17 plus the $20 for gas. That's $37. So 37 plus the 10 for the makeup, that's $47. If I'm charging $80 and I subtract 47, I'm only profiting $33. So I made $33 to do somebody's makeup. That's just on
Mhm.
gas mileage and kit and supplies. So that's what we call a very low profit margin. You're profiting, but you're not profiting. You should be profiting at least $80 off of your service at minimum. So you think about, I charge 155. If I subtract, what was the total amount we just had? 47.
47.
If I subtract 47, I just profited $108 off of the service that I did.
See, I didn't think about that because people often like the people close to me would be like, "You're not charging enough," and I'm like, honestly, I just didn't even know. I didn't know what to charge. I mean, the products that I use, they like it's very versatile. Like some of my products are high end, some of my products I can get from the drugstore because I know how to use the products. I know what to use them
But you
for.
still should be
Sometimes,
charging that rate.
okay, because my prices start at 85.
You should be
But
charging
I was
25 at least.
uh,
Mm.
okay. I need to go to the drawing board.
Also, with that comes remarketing, rebranding yourself, because you are going to have some clients that are going to be like, you've been charging me $80 all this time. Why is the price jumped?
Yeah, that's what these next few weeks are gonna be about, like redoing both of my Instagrams, my TikTok, everything to start getting things up and running because my stuff is a little dated, but that's because I don't get on it as much as I need to. But I really do appreciate this because I never understood like, okay, I buy these products because they just work for me. They're easier for me to work with. But I didn't understand like how do I factor that into my prices? I'm like, okay, it's NARS, so I just charge a little more. But
Mm.
now I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Now,
and
now
you
when
use
you
it
explain
hard.
it the
So
way you
those foundations are like, what are they, 52 or something like that? So
Yep.
they're more than a MAC foundation, more than a Makeup Forever foundation. So your profit margin, you're probably profiting somewhere around $15.
Okay, that makes
You think
sense.
about when you take what you're profiting after you have extracted everything that is an expense, can you pay your bills with that? Can you pay your insurance with that? Can you put some money away for a rainy day with that? Because that's really why the profit margin is in place.
Okay.
Which brings me to the next, return on investment. That's the ratio between the net profit and the cost of investment. So even after you have found your profit margin and you've seen what, after extracting expenses, am I getting a return on my investment? Which means the money that I personally put in or that the business is putting in, is it getting it back? Because at bare minimum, you want to have a profit margin because you need to make profit. But at the bare minimum, if you're not making profit, you need to be at least getting the money that you spent back. So if I spend $4,000 on a kit and in a full calendar year, I don't get $4,000 back, I did not get a return on investment. So that means I'm just giving money away. Your net sales sum up the company's gross sales minus its returns, allowances, and discounts. But then your gross sale is before deducting the sales returns, sales allowances, and sales discounts. So sales allowances is basically when I decide that I'm going to have a product. So like, let's say I make a new product today and I have to figure out what the overall sale is, what the overall price is going to be, what the profit margin is going to be, and then I need to, within that, figure out what the sales allowance is going to be. So that tells me, okay, if I have a sale, how much of an allowance do I have? So one of the reasons why I don't have a lot of sales on my products is because I have a very small sales allowance. And the reason why I have a very small sales allowance is because I have top quality products that can stand the test or it can sit on a shelf and perform right next to like a Caudalie or Murad or like all of these higher end brands, but the cost is nowhere near the cost of those higher end brands. Because one of my mission statements was to make sure that I had quality products that were affordable and concentrated to last people on their shelves or in their homes for a long time. So you don't have to use a lot, so it lasts long. So with that comes the sacrifice. If I got what, a $27 toner, we're not gonna have a $14 sale on those toners too much. I don't have much of an allowance. So my allowance, the money, the profit amount that I can have as an allowance only allows me to have sales once or twice a year. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making 3 times the profit.
Mm.
And then you have product benefits. This is an advantage or improvement that your product provides to your customers. So you need to know the benefit of each and every product that you create or service that you create. Those little sentences on the front of your products. I don't know if my screen is that large, but there's a little sentence on the front of each product, and that is my product benefits. So this is a gentle gel cleanser. It says a pH balancing cleanser. But then it says with firming properties of hydrolyzed wheat protein and soothing B5. So that lets people know that this is the product benefit. So you want to make sure that whatever you create, you emphasize what that benefit is. Those are things that are more reasons why somebody should buy your product. Infographics is data and hard facts about your customer's age, gender, and location. And then psychographics is the study of and classification of people according to their attitudes, aspirations, and psychological criteria, especially in market research. So a lot of people, they only ask you like, who's your client? Like, what's their age? What their gender? Where do they live? What is their lifestyle like? But I like to get into the psyche of a person's mind. How do those people think? Because that's how I'm going to communicate with those people. If I don't know how the demographic of customers that I have think, I won't make sales because I'm not speaking the lingo that they speak based on how they think and how they process things. And then the innovative challenge inquiry, I call it the ICI. This is not something that's really anywhere, it's something that I made up. This refers to a strategic approach aimed at identifying and addressing critical questions within a business environment with primary objective or instigating transformative shifts and fostering positive impacts on various facets of the organization. These questions are carefully curated to stimulate creative thinking, promote problem solving, and drive meaningful advancements in business strategies and processes and outcomes. So you guys have my entire ICI in that workbook. When I first started my company, I sat down and I had to figure out what questions I needed to ask myself in order to really navigate through and figure out who it is that I am marketing to, who it is that I'm selling to. I can testify that it really and truly works if you really answer those questions and you really process it and you really think about it, it does work. And the reason why I say that is because SKN was the first company that I started. And I was bringing in $5,000 and $6,000 months in sales. So because I knew my audience, I knew how they spoke, I knew how they thought, and I was able to communicate with them, and I was able to create community around it. When I changed to Rashad Terry Global Beauty, it was a different market. So that's something to really think about. You want to make sure that you are really answering these questions. So you don't have to answer the questions now. You can do them on your own time in the workbook. But number one is, what products are you selling? What problem do you solve? What situation would someone be in to be the best candidate for this product? What are the key assets? And I want to emphasize that number three. What situation would they be in? At the time, I was like, the clients that I'm reaching out to, they have problem skin or they have average skin, but what did I used to say? They have problem or average skin, but they really care about their skin and they want to see improvement in their skin, but they don't have a lot of money like a lot of these companies spend. And that was my angle in figuring out like the overall price, products, and everything. And that really worked for me, because there are a lot of people out here, they don't have terrible skin, or they do have problematic skin, but they want to improve their skin, but they don't have $60 for a serum. So I literally was asking myself, how can I make a serum that is just as good as that $60 serum, but maybe 37, but still does the exact same thing? So what I noticed is, once people started buying my serums and things, and they started seeing the instant and long-term results, they were like, oh my God, like it literally turned into a commodity like really quick. I was like, oh, I didn't think it was gonna like turn like that. So when you really answer these questions and really think about situations, it'll like give you epiphanies and angles where you can kind of navigate through to really create something beautiful. Number four, what are the key assets of the product? Number five, what are the key benefits in using the products? Number six, why did you decide to create this product? You need to know your why. And your why doesn't need to be because I need money. You need to figure out a why that is deep down within you, because it will help you to think about these questions and answer these questions from a deeper level, which is what you need in order to reach people.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So how do you get into like product formulation for cosmetics? Because that is my ultimate goal, is to have a cosmetic line. Like, I already know the name of it. I already know the first couple products that I want to start off with before building onto that. How do you get into that?
So I would recommend, the only place here in Georgia that has a cosmetic chemistry program is Spelman. I think it's 6 months to a year. But as a licensed esthetician, I would recommend you private label products.
Private label.
But find a company that is reliably sourced. Find a company that has clean ingredients, that doesn't do animal testing. Because I went the route of cosmetic chemistry. It's really expensive. So at one point, I was making all of my products by myself. I got tired, I got burnt out. It required for me to expand into like a space that I did not have the money to expand into. So like I wasn't in a situation where I could get a warehouse to start making mass product. So my products will always be smaller right now until I can do that. But I went the route of, okay, I'm not going to make the products anymore. I'm going to find a cosmetic chemist to make the products, but it's really expensive. So like one of the main reasons why sometimes, like for example, I just got my toners back in stock after like maybe a month and a half, because the reality is when you go cosmetic chemist route, it costs a lot for them to make those products for you, because they're using your formulations. So you basically have to pay them to accept your formulation, to accept it the way you want it, to make the product. Then they got to send the product to you. Then you have to send the product to a fulfillment center so that they can put it in the proper packaging. then it's fulfillment center. So it's a never ending process. So it costs money. It's like I make the profit for the product, but then I got to make more profit to send it off to this person so they can send it back. And so it's a lot. And shipping is what costs the most. So
Mm,
I don't recommend anybody go that route personally because it's so much easier to just private label. Private labels will put your products in the packaging, they'll put your labels on it, like, and you get a ready product to just sell.
so do we like get to collaborate with them and tell them like what ingredients we want in the product, or do they have like set ingredients already and we just have to pick which would be best for our product?
So it depends. Some companies have set products, some companies have um a little bit of wiggle room. I always recommend people to, this was the first company that I ever went to before I started using a chemist. My company used to be Skin Friends instead of SKN, and I dropped the friends. When it was Skin Friends, I used a company called Onoxa, Onoxa. So they have set products, but they have so much of a variety of range of products that you will find a regimen of products that you like. And they do also, like, you can say, hey, can we do this? And it costs a little bit more, but they do allow like adjustments in the products.
Okay.
So number 7, what limitations does your product have? Number 8, how easy is it for your clients to use your product? And then underneath that, you want to figure out an age range, gender, race, generation, which season or weather is ideal for your product. When it comes to age and gender, well, not even gender because it can be all genders, but when it comes to age, find a specific age range that you want to dedicate to. Um, The reason why I say that is because people say all ages, and that's great. But if you start marketing to a very vague and large body of people, it's going to be hard to find a niche. And niche is where you need to start. You need to start with a specific group of people and expand from there. Because you can't build community with the whole world. It wouldn't be a community. You have to build community with a specific group of people, and then that group of people starts to become a culture, and that culture starts to spread. Some more questions. Can you describe the typical user experience? What steps have you taken to ensure user friendliness? Have you conducted any user testing and usability studies? Those two are so important. How are you making your products user friendly? Like, so for example, one of the biggest issues I had with a lot of my clients, my moisturizers used to be in amber jars, and they were like, I love these because the size, it was a 2-ounce jar, which it was travel friendly. So that was one of the things that was great for the customer experience, was my products in their regular packaging. Everything was the size for TSA. But the next thing was they were like, but we would like a moisturizer that has a pump. And the first moisturizer had like a regular moisturizer pump. And they were like, it took away from the friendliness of it actually being able to travel, because now they had to figure out like how to not allow the pump if they lost the cap, how not to, so the product wouldn't like pump out in their bag during travel. So to make it more user friendly, I got these pumps on the moisturizer that twist and lock. So now, same small, cute, quaint, but it locks. So they don't have to worry about, they can just throw it in their bag and travel with it. So it's things like that that you want to think about when you're thinking about the different things. There is product and services. How is that service user-friendly for the customer experience? Is the location easily accessible? Is it easy for the client to get on the treatment table? Like, how can I make this experience more user-friendly? It could be the most simple things, but people notice. Have you conducted user testing? How do you address user feedback and suggestions? So every 3 to 6 months, I send out a customer survey just to see how I can improve or what they don't like about the products, what they don't like about the packaging. The last time I did it, it was the cleanser. They were like, this is the only thing that has a pump, and they love the duct pump because it controls the amount of product that comes out, where most pumps just squirt out a whole bunch. Because you know how most pumps, it has this neck and then there's like the tube. So when you push it down, there's too much cleanser that comes out. This one, you just get the amount of cleanser that's in this that thing inside of there. That's the amount of cleanser that pumps out. So it's about a piece, like a quarter size. And then they were like, that's great, but the pump can't travel. So then I had the company that I do my packaging, they made it where this twists and locks. So now it doesn't pump if you twist it and lock it. So it's little things like that that make a world of a difference. And all that came from surveys. Like, my packaging evolving like this came from those surveys. And can you provide examples of how the product simplifies complex tasks for users? Those are prime examples. Like, those are simple tasks that people may not even think about, but somebody's out there like, hey, I travel for a living. So I need stuff that I can just throw in my bag because nobody has it. When you go in the store, nobody really has anything that's travel friendly like that. You can literally just throw my stuff in the bag and be good. Last few questions. What resources or support do you offer users to overcome difficulties when they encounter? That's how if you go on my website and it says chat with an RTGB representative, that's how that came about. They were like, hey, like, I think one of the questions on the survey was, what's one thing that you struggle with other companies that you would like to see me bring to you? And it was like, if I ever have an issue, I want to be able to talk directly to somebody quickly and instantly. So that's that button. You can click it. It literally comes to my phone and Renee's phone. One of us answers it almost immediately within the next 5 minutes. So that's something to also think about forward. As my company expands, what that means is when I get to be a company that's selling millions of SKUs, I have to remember that these were the things that clients were asking for. So Anoxa is only for, I'm sorry, answering Deja's question. Anoxa is only skincare. I'll find some makeup companies. I have to look through my emails and see what company I used to use for makeup. I can't remember the name of it, but I know it's in my email. So I'll find it and then put it in the classroom. Yeah, and they said, you know what? It's called Auraline. Auraline Beauty.com. I think that's how you spell it. I might have spelled it wrong. They actually make brow products for a lot of companies that are in Sephora. How do you measure or evaluate the usability of the product on an ongoing basis? And then in what ways do you anticipate making further improvements to enhance the user experience? So these are the downloads that you guys will get over the course of this module. The business sales calculator, the product price calculator, and today we're going to be working on the total life expense calculator. So I'm going to show you guys how to fill it out, because sometimes if you put in things incorrectly, it'll kind of start acting funny. So let me open it so that you guys can see. Okay. So this is the total life expense calculator. It's really called the monthly expense calculator, but it's the total life expense calculator because if you look here, it tells you the month in that first one after the subcategory. Then it's going to tell you the total of each category, but 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, two times monthly, 2 times 3 months, 2 times 6, 12, 3 times the same thing, and so forth. So it's going to automatically calculate how much you need to make in each of those categories. So like rent, it'll calculate 3 times 6 months the rent, and then it'll double that, and then it'll three. So it's showing you long term. This green area is where we really want to be. Each month we want to get to a place where we're making 3 times what our monthly expenses are. So that's why it calculates that way, so that you guys can really see what expenses what you're spending your money on, and then you can see how much you need to make in order to get out of this red zone, because this red zone is poverty. If we're only making if we're only making our monthly expenses 3 times our monthly, 6 times or 12 times, we're in poverty. And
Can you show us an example?
yeah, I'm gonna fill in all of this with you guys just so you guys can see. So let's say rent is $11.75, which is unheard of, but let's say a month we spend $100 on lawn service. We don't have pools in Georgia, so anything that you don't, just leave it blank. Well, we do have pools, but not a lot of people really have pools in Georgia. Cleaning supplies. Let's say you spend about $50 a month on cleaning supplies. Random upkeep. I always kind of just put $50 in there because you never know what's going to happen where you got to go do something. Cable. We don't really have cable nowadays. You can put in like all of your Netflix and all of that stuff in there, but there's a space for that. Internet. So I know what's the average cost of internet? Because my internet is not realistic. My internet is $192.
No, sir. No, you are not.
Like $55 a month.
$55 a month? Who are y'all with?
I got Spectrum.
I got Xfinity, but my apartment complex factor that into our rent,
Oh,
so it's $72.
Because I have Xfinity.
You must got some fancy Xfinity.
It's the fastest. It's like 20 gigabytes. So it's like the fastest internet that you can get. Because I got so much stuff in here that like runs off. Like I would not be able to sit on this call with y'all and have a clean stream. It'll be like, because I got Alexas all over. It's a lot going on in here. So I'm just gonna say between my internet and alarm, it's $192. That's safe to say, right?
Yes. Mhm.
So you look here just on housing, we're at $15.65. Water. Most people's places include water, but we'll say it's $100.
Yeah, that's about right.
Electricity, $100. A car, on average, I want to say the average person spends maybe about $525 on a car note. I think that's to be true.
That's kind of fair. I don't pay that.
I
That's
think
kind
that's
of fair.
I think that's like right in the middle of too much and not a lot.
That's kind of fair.
I don't know the life of insurance. My insurance is $115. What is insurance typically? Because I be hearing some outrageous prices on insurance.
Me too. I
I'ma say
pay on my
150
path, I pay 103, but that's just only for
because I be
liability.
hearing people like, oh, my insurance is $300, $400. I'm like, what? I'm gonna say 155 to be in the middle. Gas on a month of gas. A lot of this stuff I don't know that life because my cars have energy, have gas, so it takes $20 to fill it up. So I'm looking
Mm.
I'm gonna say probably pay like $240 a month in gas.
40 a month.
Yeah, well, I use premium, but I drive a Honda Accord.
I have premium too.
But like I live in Ellenwood, like everything is far.
Okay,
Mm.
so let's say 165. I'm trying to keep
Yeah,
it.
and I got kids, so I gotta always go pick them up and all of that.
Maintenance, an oil change once a month is about $100. Um, Windshield wiper blades every 6 months is about $30. So we'll divide that 30 and say 15. So we're gonna say $120. Well, no, maintenance, 100. Groceries. It's safe to say 300 a month.
That is safe to say.
Restaurants and eating out. I'm gonna be nice and say 100. Even though I know y'all probably just spending money on eating out. But I'm gonna say 100 to put y'all on the budget. Insurance. Um, what is insurance going these days? It's like 300.
My job takes it out, so do we still have to factor that? But actually, my job pays for it, so. Mm.
Um, I mean, it's technically still coming out of your gross. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna say $200 a month.
okay.
If you have any stocks that you invest in monthly, like I put 50 in each month on something, whether it's even if it's the coffee stock for $2 or whatever. Student loans. Them loans be deferred, but we gonna be on average. My student loan is actually no, it's like $32 a month. But that's not realistic. Most people pay about 120 a month.
Yeah, that's
Credit
about me.
cards. You want to calculate anywhere between your minimum payment and what you expect to pay. So like let's say you have 5 credit cards. And let's say you spend about $300 in paying money back to those credit cards monthly. Gym memberships. Y'all got gym memberships?
Yes.
How much is a gym membership? Like $37?
Yeah, I'm about to switch mine, so it's about that much. Right
Okay.
now, I pay 25.
Okay, so we'll put 25. Phone bill, 116. Personal hygiene and care products. Each month, it's safe to say you spend about $60 on those things. Spa and massage, salon and barbershop. What do y'all do for hair? I'm bald, so.
I get a haircut. My haircuts are about, I get like two haircuts each month, so it's $30 each.
Okay. What about y'all who get your hair done?
I do my own hair.
Okay, so
I'm gonna
what
say
y'all
about
do
100 for
responsible?
my kids' hair.
Huh?
I said like 100 for my kids' hair.
Okay, so we'll just put that in as expense. Identity theft protection, it's free. You should not be paying for that. You just got to call the IRS and tell them you need a PIN number. Netflix. So I'm gonna calculate Netflix. I should change this to streaming apps. So this is where it starts to be really embarrassing for me, guys. I spend $10.99 on Spotify, $5.99 on All Black Network. I spend $13 on Netflix. I spend $12 on Hulu. I spend I'm
You
so
need to shut up.
embarrassed. I'm supposed to be y'all example. I'm so embarrassed. Got
Share them passwords.
What's the other one that I have? It's Hulu, Netflix. I got Disney Plus. That's with Hulu.
Why I knew your
$30
childish
on
behind
it.
was gonna say Disney Plus.
Huh?
I
I
got
said, why I
Peacock.
knew your childish behind was gonna say Disney Plus.
Well, I do have a child, okay? And she uses
Mm-hmm.
it.
Okay, okay, if you say so.
It's a bundle.
got
So
you.
I spent about $80 on streaming apps. Oh, that's
Whoa.
Ours is about $20 cheaper, so I don't feel too embarrassed.
travel. I ain't been traveling. Movies. So this is like fun and excitement. Like you really need to like if you look at these categories above, which are your priorities, notice I put them in order of priority. Housing, utilities, transportation, and food is your first important. Like those are the things my mom used to always tell me. You got to keep a roof over your head. So those bills are the first thing that you need to take care of. Your utilities is next. Your transportation is next. Food is next. So like you want to be hungry with a house and a car to get to work, or do you want to be full and homeless? So that's why I put them in this specific order to kind of put some insight on like what you should be taking care of first. So once I get past personal upkeep and I look at fun and excitement, and some people will probably argue with me this because some people love their pets. I probably should have moved pets up underneath food. Some people will argue with that and say it needs to go before food because I know some people that will not eat to feed their pet. We're gonna be eating the same thing together. Whatever I buy, we finna sit down on this floor and eat it because I gotta eat too. But once you get past that, these things in fun and entertainment are subjective. So like, for example, let's say I always say choose one. So like for me, it's streaming apps. I would rather sit at home and enjoy good TV when I want to have some fun and excitement than to right now be like, oh, I'm gonna go to a concert once a month, or oh, I'm gonna go to a festival once a month, or oh, a hobby. So like my hobby is my business. So I treat that as my hobby, so I get fulfillment out of majority of these things in this category. And then pets. I don't have a pet. My pet is in Florida and I don't pay for her anymore because my Chanel adopted her. So I was like, it's your responsibility. So I don't have that. So if we look overall, 1567 on housing, 200 on utilities, 945 on transportation, 400 on food. And then again, maintenance is every 3 to 6 months. So what you could do is take that 100 and divide it by 3. This could really be $33.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because we're going to take $33 and put it away each month. So by the time we get to the month where we need to spend the money to take the car, it's already put away. So a lot of these things can be divided like that, like insurance. They take, like, if your insurance is $600 a month, they take a portion every pay period. So let's say this 200 is 400. So you have to kind of do some personal math sometimes to figure out like, okay, what is it really? Food, 400. And you may look at this and be like, well, dang, like if you look in your app and say, I'm spending too much money on eating out, and you may say, all right, I'm gonna cut that in 50 and put myself on a budget. So 350 food, 200 medical, investing $50, student loans, credit cards. So student loans, you can change this. Maybe you have a personal loan. How much is that? Or whatever the case may be. Personal upkeep. So monthly, we need to have at least $4,046 coming in to cover the bills. So seeing that in real time, 4,046, that means that each month I really need to be making at least 1,000 so that I can put 1,000 away.
Mm.
I mean, I need to be making 5,000, 5 to 6,000. Because where are you going to take money to invest in your brand? Where are you going to take money to put away? The first thing that you guys need to do is create an emergency fund of $1,000. So you're going to do this, and then you're going to shoot your goal towards $1,000 emergency fund. Once you do that emergency fund, then you can start taking money and putting into other things. Then it shows you 3 months that expense. So 6 months that expense, 12 months that expense. So if your rent is $1,175, $14,100, if you make that a month, you're making your year's worth of rent. Or you could even look at this and say, okay, I'm spending $14,100 a year on rent. So 12 months. And then it goes into 2 times that and 3 times that. So 28,200 is 3 times my month's rent for a year. So it puts things into perspective, like what if you were making 97,000 a month? What if you were in the green and you were making 145,656? Because there are people out here making that every month.
Oh, so the yellow is like our monthly salary?
So that's the total. So of all of this stuff monthly, this is the total. So it just goes on and on about the total. So 12 months worth of rent 3 times. So if 1175 is the rent, or if 12 months worth of rent is 14,100, 3 times 14,100 is 4,200. Does that make sense? 3 times that. So
Hmm,
this is just the total of that.
okay.
So the same way I'm looking across here and I say 1175, 3 months of 1175 is 35, I'm sorry, 3,525. I can do the same thing with just the overall total of all of my expenses. So this is all of my expenses. So 3 months of all of my expenses is 12,138. The same way that total amount of all of those expenses 3 times. You get it?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So like this is 3x that, the total amount. So a full year of what the total amount of my expenses is. times 3. So it puts it into a perspective where you can see like, well, dang, because the goal is to make whatever this is, whether it's 1 time, 2 times, or 3 times, the goal is to get to where you're making that monthly. Imagine making your total life expenses, all your bills, times 3 each month. Imagine making $145,656 each month, but that pays this total amount 3 times. You're making 3 times that each month. So once you fill it out with the perspective of your things, it'll tell you like, okay, what your total amount is. And it puts it in a realistic space of like, okay, like this is how much, because you need to know how much you make. I mean, how much you spend a month, so that you can know, all right, like I need to make this amount. Because you need to know that, like, what if, like, a lot of people don't know what they spend a month. And because they don't know how much money they need to make. Because you may fill this out and realize, well, dang, I'm making less than what I spend a month. I remember I did this with somebody, and that was the case. They were making like $1,000 less than what their expenses were. So it put it into a perspective, and they were like, okay. So I said, well, look at this and see what you can reduce and what you can get rid of. That lets you know, like, okay, you don't need to be streaming nothing. Cancel all of those until you get your stuff together. Somebody who's spending money on their hair, it's like, okay, you might need to not get your hair done for a season. Maybe you can work out in the park and cancel that gym membership. Maybe you need to defer your loans for a second, because that $155 or $25 on student loans, maybe you can get that saved for 6 months. So you see how all of a sudden the expenses are going down tremendously. So you can look at things and be like, okay, this is what I gotta do. Somebody who's spending more, they may need to be like, okay, I may need to go to the $75 interwebs. You see how things can, like, you can put things into perspective to make it make sense for yourself.
That does make sense. Hmm.
Is it editable to add rows in? Let me find out. I probably should have added some blank rows, add row below. Let's see. So here's the thing, it's not. Because this is why I took forever to like get this started, where I was like, yeah, class is canceled. So it's like I had to make each one of these cells, and then I have to highlight these cells, and then I had to cross-link this cell to the summary cell, and then put numbers in to the, it's like a whole process. It is very hard to do, and I hadn't done it in so long. So unfortunately, you can't add cells. It won't group it, but what it will do, like, let's say, did it add it? I think it does add to the total. No, it doesn't.
It didn't add it, but I was asking because, you know, like I got kids, they got tuition and they got all their extracurriculars and things like that that are factored into, you know, my monthly numbers.
So what you can do is like travel, erase the word travel and change it to what you want, because it's restricted to the cells that I have linked all the way across all of them. So if I add one cell, what I would have to add, do the math and do everything over for every cell. So
Okay.
like, let's say personal upkeep, you don't need spa or identity theft, you can change these texts to make it conducive to what you want it to say, and then put it in so that it'll stay within this perimeter.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't think to add more cells, but it'll be a whole lot of work for me to add more cells in. So did that help you guys a little bit? Did it make things make sense as far as like total expense and upkeep?
It made sense to me.
So next week, oh, where's my, oh, there it goes. Let me share. Next week, we will be, where is the screen? It's so many screens on these screens up here. Oh, here we go. So next week, if you guys go to upcoming class scheduling, because I was kind of just uploading the stuff in class material, but I think that was a little bit confusing for you guys, because like to kind of figure out like what is it that I need, and what are we covering. So I made another thing that says upcoming class schedule, and it says session 1. So session 1 has the replay of our special guest from last weekend in it. Session 2 is what we did today. So it'll be like this from now on, where it'll have the materials that you need for that session and the link to the Zoom. That way you know exactly what we're going to be covering, what you need. Session 3 next week, we are covering the expense cap. Wait, that's the wrong one. Uh-oh, I gotta fix that. So we'll really be on session 4, because I didn't expect to go through. I thought we weren't going to be able to go through all of that in one session. So we'll be doing the daily sales mindset, and we'll be doing the daily sales calculator. So I'm actually gonna delete 3 and then edit 4. So we'll be doing session 3. And I think the following week, session 4, I'm gonna bring Aaron back if he's available. If not, we'll do it the following week. But I'm gonna try and bring him in to start doing that whole program that he has throughout. So he'll be a special guest for a little time now. I'm also waiting on, my friend is so busy. His name is Justin Douglas. He's a celebrity makeup artist. I'm trying to get him over here so he can record a makeup video on how he does the Love and Hip Hop girls. He works on Love and Hip Hop. So he said he'll do it. It's just his schedule is so busy. So that'll be coming as well. And then of course the replays will always be in the Saturday Zoom Connected replay, but it'll also be uploaded to that session. So like once it's edited and done, I'll have it in session 2. So you can always go back and watch the replay. Do you guys have any questions for me today, or any additional questions, comments, or concerns?
No, I pretty much asked the questions that I had during our session.
So that's all we got today, and I'll see y'all next Saturday. You're
Thanks, Rashad.
Thank
welcome.
you.